UEFA has made a call that could change football forever. Domestic matches can be played on foreign soil for the first time ever. Is this a positive step for fans who live abroad, or another death knell for the game as we know it? Also, FIFA has cooked up another World Cup controversy, and Storm Amy racked up an incredible assist. My name's Sammy James, and this is First Up Football. On Monday, there was a huge decision that could permanently change the face of professional football as we know it, because for the first time ever, major European domestic matches can take place abroad. La Liga clubs Villarreal and Barcelona are now set to face each other in Miami, USA in December for what would be the first European League fixture to be hosted overseas. Then in February, and this is even more ridiculous, AC Milan's Italian Serie A match against Como will be played in Perth, Australia. Now, UEFA has stressed its clear opposition to the plans, but reluctantly approved them because there is no legal framework to stop it. The reason that UEFA was unable to stop it was because of an out-of-court settlement in April in another case between US Soccer and US-based sports event promoter Relevant Sports. It means that there simply isn't the legal framework for organising bodies like UEFA to stop this happening. Here's Guillaume Balaguer on CBS Sport with his take on whether it is morally right.
That's what football used to be for local people. Not anymore. We've asked everybody in the world to be interested about football. We want everybody to buy the shirt, even 3 times every year. And we're saying to them, but you're not going to have part of the party. This is just for us. I think football has to open up the mind and start thinking that, yes, football can be played, should be played, will be played abroad.
That is actually quite the take there from Guillaume. I wasn't actually expecting him to say that. I mean, everything I've seen online from journalists and fans has been wholly against the move. I guess for me, sure, a one-off match overseas is probably fine, but this isn't going to be a one-off match, is it? Of course, if successful, the financial lure of playing games abroad, building bigger fan bases in other countries is just going to be too great for clubs to avoid. I guess I can only really prism this through the feelings towards my own club, Fulham, where I have a season ticket, and Fulham fans fought relentlessly to keep Fulham at Craven Cottage, a stadium that is so synonymous with the club that if we didn't play there, I don't think my love for Fulham would be anywhere near as strong. And the idea of us giving up some of our home games each season to play overseas is something I could just never support. What happens as well is the competitive balance of the league. Clubs complain about playing a Saturday 12:30 match straight after playing in the Champions League. So how are they going to feel when that match is in Australia? I do see Guillaume's point that clubs push for global support, but surely every fan overseas understands the deal when they support a team. If I suddenly started closely watching Aussie rules football, I wouldn't expect them to go and play games in England. Fortunately for fans of English clubs, it looks like for now the Premier League is resistant to holding matches abroad, which is funny because they were the ones to first suggest the concept of a 39th match held overseas back in February 2008. Now, that was a controversial plan that was dropped later that year due to widespread negativity. However, the Premier League's sensational growth still has a bearing on this decision, as Carvi Solico on Sky Sports News explains.
Because the Italian and the Spanish leagues look at the success of the Premier League, which is far more successful than either of those leagues, and they are trying to find ways to catch up.
Well, unless there is a dramatic change of heart, it looks like matches abroad are now going to be part of football that we are all going to have to accept, I guess. UEFA President Alexander Ceferin said that the decision is exceptional and shall not be seen as setting a precedent. But as much as he doesn't want it to be, this is very much a precedent, right? Next, and let's jump from UEFA's mess to FIFA's mess, as controversy before the men's 2026 World Cup in North America continues to grow, and anger is still high amongst fans, particularly on the continent, after ticket prices for the tournament were confirmed last week. The cheapest ticket for the final is over $2,000. That is nearly 10 times higher than it was in Qatar. There are some $60 tickets apparently, but trying to find these tickets, let alone actually purchase them, is like finding a needle in a haystack. stack, and the prices for tickets are controversially not set in stone. FIFA has adopted dynamic ticket pricing, something that Tom Boga on The Athletic criticised on CBS Galazzo.
Football's for the people. Why are we price gouging? Why? This is an infestation, I think, as well, of the secondary ticket market. Scalpers are in here with no other idea than to get tickets to sell them at a higher price rather than the fans. I wish that there was a better system, a better way to ensure if you enter this lottery, you have to go to the game and you get to go with you and your family rather than scalpers buying tickets to flip them or people who are entering the lottery themselves thinking, I might make $700 here rather than I desperately want to go to this game.
And the prices have got to such a point where the idea of potentially following a national team all the way from the start to the end, which is something that tens of thousands of fans want to do, feels more and more difficult than ever. England Fans Embassy calculated that a fan who follows their team from the group stage to the final using the cheapest Category 4 tickets will have to shell out $3,180 at least on those match tickets, which is double what it would have cost in Qatar. That, of course, doesn't factor in the huge amount of travel that will be necessary in order to do that across North America. However, FIFA defended their prices by saying that it's a not-for-profit organisation that relies on Men's World Cup revenue in order to reinvest for the future growth of the game amongst all of its 211 nations. And then on Monday, Henry Hill from Joe uncovered a new controversy around the upcoming World Cup, although this one is just limited to the Asian confederations. Indonesia, Iraq, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Qatar and UAE are all set to compete for 2 spots at the 2026 World Cup as part of Asian qualification process. A decision was made, though, by the Asian Football Confederation to centralise the 2-group mini tournaments. Yet after a formal bidding process, the host rights went to Qatar and Saudi Arabia, which, it's not the most surprising choice, is it? Unsurprisingly, the other nations are not happy, suggesting that the hosts will get competitive advantage. Next, let's catch up on the day's other stories. First of all, let's focus on England and Bayern Munich's Harry Kane, who is having an incredible start to the season. 21 goals in 15 matches in all competitions for club and country, keeping him in line with Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland's sensational goal-scoring starts. Recently, there have been many reports linking Kane with a move back to the Premier League next summer because he will have an active £56.7 million release clause on his contract. However, on Monday, Harry Kane cooled that interest, telling the Mirror, "I am fully all in with Bayern Munich." Now, next summer, one of the debutants at the 26th World Cup in North America will be Uzbekistan, who have qualified for FIFA's flagship tournament at the 8th attempt since independence from the Soviet Union. However, the country decided that they want a coach with a bit of know-how to help guide them through the tournament. So, how does a former World Cup winning captain sound?
It's Fabio Cannavaro, who has been immense all tournament, a worthy World Cup winning captain. Italy are the champions.
Yet the man who lifted the 2006 World Cup for Italy, Fabio Cannavaro, has been appointed as head coach of the Uzbekistan national team. The Central Asian nation qualified in June for the World Cup under local coach Timur Kapadze, but their federation has decided to seek a manager with greater international experience. Next, good news for Manchester United fans around the corner, as the Mirror reported on Monday that Lisandro Martinez could return from his ACL injury following the November international break. Martinez has been sidelined since February after the injury happened during a clash against Crystal Palace. And one story that I thought might be at the top of today's running order would be Ange Postecoglou and his future at Nottingham Forest. But no sacking yet, at least. However, that hasn't stopped the papers speculating about who could be the Australians' replacement after just 8 games. This isn't a story that fills me with very much joy, though, as the Daily Mail reported that Fulham's Marco Silva is a long-term target for Nottingham Forest, even though any approach for the Portuguese manager is unlikely to happen before the end of the season. And look, I think I can safely say, as a Fulham fan, we all know that one day Marco will leave us, and if that's to a top job that he can't refuse, we'll all accept that. But if he jumps ship to go to the basket case that is Forest under Evangelos Marinakis, I'm not sure that'll get the blessing of many Fulham fans. Last up, a particularly enjoyable goal from the weekend. As Storm Amy here in the UK claimed an unlikely assist in the Cymru Premier League clash between Cardiff Met and Bala Town. The game was being played at Cardiff Met's University campus in the Welsh capital as 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts made it increasingly difficult for players. So it probably wasn't the best idea of Bala goalkeeper Joel Torrance after 20 minutes to clear the ball directly into the air. The commentary here is in Welsh, but you probably get an idea of what happened next.
Beilich yna gan Torrance yn dod o holl ffordd nôl at y Cwrt Cosby. Wan Dwen yn aros, a Bale heibio I Torrance.
This goal really needs to be seen to be believed. Joel Torrance's clearance from goal went right up into the air, and then suddenly the ball changed direction in the wind and started coming back towards him with pace. Bala defender Lassana Mende then attempted to improve the situation by heading it, but all he did was guide it into his own net even quicker. Cardiff Met managed to score a goal without a single one of their players touching the ball, which means in the assist stats for this season, it's now Storm Amy one ahead of Liverpool's Florian Wirtz. That's it for First Up Football today. We'll be back tomorrow.